Imagine getting paid just for sharing your thoughts on products and services you use every day. With Survey Junkie, it's that simple. Click on the link in the video description to discover how you can start earning today by taking surveys.
Shocking new figures published by charity Women's Aid today reveal that over half of abuse sufferers referred to a refuge find themselves turned away. Campaigners fear the issue of domestic abuse and funding of shelters is being overlooked as an election issue. Research shows incidences of domestic violence can increase during big football tournaments. So with Euros about to kick off, there will be many abuse sufferers living in fear. Today, actress and Women's Aid patron Dame Julie Walters explains why whoever forms the next government must make domestic abuse a priority. Frightening statistics from Women's Aid, where I am a proud patron, show that over 60% of referrals into refuge are rejected, with the most common reason being a lack of space and capacity in services. Over 24%, domestic abuse urgently needs to be a priority for every political party. Despite many years of campaigning, including important campaigning by our channel with Women's Aid to keep refuge doors open, there is so much more to do. And ahead of a general election, every political party needs to have domestic abuse and dealing with violence against women as a serious priority. With at least one woman being killed every week in England and Wales by a current or former partner, if domestic abuse is left out of political manifestos, things could only get worse. With 1 in 4 women experiencing domestic abuse at some point in their lifetime, as well as male victims and the many children growing up in homes where there is domestic abuse, it is an issue that affects people in every town and city across the country. Domestic abuse is an issue for every government department, and any future government needs to be planning for how they are going to work to end it. Listening to both survivors' voices and the domestic abuse experts around the country who have worked to save lives for decades. At Women's Aid we know firsthand that the greatest heroes are ones you never know about unless you need them, and having a safe place to go to where people understand what you are going through and help you rebuild your life are the reasons why many survivors are able to escape a life lived in fear. We have seen in recent years some important progress, with the Domestic Abuse Act in 2021 bringing in a number of improvements that have built on the recognition of coercive control as a criminal offense in 2015. Economic abuse is recognized as domestic abuse, children are recognized as victims in their own right, and a new offense for strangulation that doesn't end in death. But there is such a long way to go. We know that many women trying to get the help that could save their lives are being turned away, whether it is because there is not the refuge space there for them or because migrant women still do not have the right to access life-saving services if they are being abused. We know that survivors of domestic abuse are scared that their abusers might be let out of prison early because of the early release scheme. We have been told there are refuges where the TV is not turned on because the sound of the football brings back awful memories for some of the women and children living there. Domestic abuse doesn't end when the relationship ends. Women who have left abusers still live in fear. We need to deliver the life-saving services women need now, and need to build a world where domestic abuse does not exist in the future, by investing in prevention and challenging misogyny and sexism in schools and workplaces alike. We need to get to the root cause and drive out abusive behavior. We need to invest now to save both money and lives further down the line, with domestic abuse costing society nearly £78 billion a year. The Euros are nearly upon us and should be a happy time, but it won't be for everyone. As whether England win or lose, research shows us that where there is already abuse happening, it can become more frequent or severe at the time of big games. Women's Aid has this advice for victims and their families. If you are a victim of domestic abuse, support line is open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on 01708 765 200. The charity's email support service is open weekdays and weekends during the crisis. Message info@supportline.org.uk. Women's Aid provides a live chat service available weekdays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and weekends 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can also